Thank you. Are we seeing, and I don't know whether you quantified this for Senator Carr or not, but the budget cuts is in the order of about $111 million to CSIRO. Is that about right?
That's right.
Did you total up for us the total number of redundancies? Is it the...
I think we just covered that.
The 200 or so?
So, Senator, I might just be able to complete that again. So there was 2 waves we spoke of, and these aren't redundancies as a whole, they're staff shifts. Some will come through redundancies, some will come through resignations and the like. Dr. Clark announced up to 300 late last year, and earlier this year announced up to 450 staff in a net shift, as Senator Carr noted before, of staff.
Are we seeing this contributing to a brain drain where a lot of Australian research is just heading overseas, where there's a bit more funding certainty?
Actually, I see it as both ways. We've never, as an organisation, given the respect with which we are held globally and arguably in the top 5 applied R&D organisations in the world. We attract staff from all over the world and will continue to do so, as well as attract the brightest and best that this country has to offer. And then it's not just CSIRO. One of our key strategies is that we put the brightest and best that we have in CSIRO together with the brightest and best at our universities and other research institutions to make sure that we have global critical mass in the areas in which Australia has strength. And I still see Australia as a very attractive place for researchers from around the world to come here as part of their career and also to have extensive careers here.
So there's a report in the Sydney Morning Herald last month that quoted highly skilled scientists and project leaders at CSIRO being kept from their research to clean laboratories, write promotional material, sort mail, refill photocopiers. Did you see that article, and is that happening?
I did, and in terms of our laboratories, obviously the safety, the housekeeping of our laboratories is a responsibility of all staff, not just in terms of overnight cleaning staff. We have very strict health, safety, environment protocols in each of our labs, and I have to say housekeeping of your work areas is something that I take responsibility for, and so does every person in CSIRO, as part of a safe working environment.
Yeah, the article wasn't being written up around safety or people cleaning up after themselves. It was that people are basically, some of the best researchers in the world are basically being idled and have nothing in particular to do.
That wasn't the tone of the article from my own reading. The tone was making sure that we had sufficient funding for the administrative and cleaning contracts so that our staff members weren't distracted to that. Having said that, it is the responsibility of every staff member, myself included, to make sure that our laboratories have appropriate house cleaning, and that does actually mean that everyone's involved in that.
How are you able to attract these people from overseas against the backdrop of $100 million budget cut?
I think it's the resilience that we're already seeing. As I mentioned to Senator Carr, we are working through these changes, and we are 2/3 through. We would expect to be mostly through that by the Q1 of 2015. We're already seeing a tremendous resilience in terms of our partners and other investment and commitment to CSIRO. Just as an example, we've had partners such as Orica re-sign up for $5 million alliance. We announced last week a new biomedical alliance with Monash University and some 20 industry players, some $47 million. We've also just announced last week another just under $8 million into science and technology in business, which we would expect to be matched again by industry. And we have recently had in our education area a commitment from industry of $28.8 million. That's some $88 million of recent announcements over the last few weeks, which I think demonstrates the relevance of CSIRO. It demonstrates the commitments of our partner, and it demonstrates the resilience of an organisation that is essential to this nation's future.
Thank you. Sorry, Dr. Clark. It's interesting you choose the word resilience, though, which I take to mean the ability of a system to withstand an external shock. How many more external shocks like that can you take?
I'm hoping that we will have a period of stability, as we said, as we go through Q1 and a period of growth for CSIRO. I use the word resilience because we did need to adjust to a reduction of 111.4 million. What I'm sharing with you is that an organisation of the strength, of the calibre and the standing of CSIRO has been responding, and our teams and our leaders have been responding extremely well. And I have to say I'm extremely grateful to the response from our partners to make sure that our critical research continues. So organisations such as ours do have resilience for that kind of reduction.
Senator, just a couple of things. I know you talked about the brain drain. You may or may not have been here earlier on. Of course, Dr. Larry Marshall is coming in as the new CEO. Is indeed someone who is coming home, and presumably he's doing that because he's very confident about the future of the organisation. And I don't think we saw that brain drain you referred to between the 4 years from 2008, when there was 63.4 million cut from CSIRO by the former government. But I think it's really important, all this talk about budget cuts, that CSIRO funding has increased year on year over the forward estimates to $3 billion. So the funding to CSIRO is actually increasing over the forward estimates. So I think we need to put this into some perspective, and people are sort of making wild claims about these matters, and they just don't stand up. So I just wanted to make those two points.
I'll leave it there, Chair.
Thank you. We're going to Senator Xenophon.